I started Levita because I'm a surgeon and I realized that we needed better tools in order to provide better surgery for our patients. So that's why I decided to develop new technology that will improve the capabilities that surgeons will have for performing surgeries, always thinking how we can have a huge impact in our patients.
Levita invented magnetic surgery. This is the only surgical system that is able to retract tissues and organs using a magnetic controller without the requirement for an incision. We have years of safe and effective use with this technology, and we're poised to extend that innovation into the Mars platform, which will provide a stable visual field and increase the efficiency of the OR workflow.
With Levita, we were very unique because we bring value at three levels, the triple impact that we call it. First, for us is the patient, the most important, and we bring a less invasive procedure.
The magnetic surgery technology allows you to eliminate the incision in a bariatric surgery is typically the most painful for patients. So without that incision, patients can actually recover faster with less pain.
For the surgeon, it's a way of doing the procedure in a better way, having like perfect assistant. What that means that you see better, that you have a stable view of the surgical field, and also you have the capability of doing movements in an unobstructed way, so you have much more freedom. And for the hospital, we make the OR personnel more efficient because we give more control to the surgeon, so you need less personnel in the OR.
In two separate clinical trials, Mars was shown to reduce the need for surgical assistance by one entire person. This frees up a highly trained medical expert to deliver care in other areas of critical need.
Okay, so in today's episode on the MedTech 101 podcast, we have Dr. Alberto Rodriguez-Navarro, and he's the president and CEO and founder of Levita Magnetics, which is a medical device based out of the Silicon Valley. It's really exciting, the stuff they do. It's basically to help with minimum invasive surgery to help patients have like faster recoveries, less scarring after a surgery has been done. And and from what I heard today, the latest attachment for the product was used on a patient in Cleveland. And I don't want to quickly throw the surprise away. So yeah, welcome to the MedTech 101 podcast, Alberto.
Thank you very much, Rodney. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I'm really honored to have you here. But so before I even start on everything, I when I was doing research on you, reading up on you, in preparation for this episode, I realized that you grew up in Chile. So would you just mind walking us through as to how your life was in Chile and what made you study medicine and to be a surgeon?
Yeah, well, actually, my dad is from Spain. My mom is from Chile. So they moved to Chile, and I grew up in Santiago. For a strange reason, I don't know why, I always want to be a surgeon. In my family, I'm the only physician. Actually, my dad is a mechanical engineer. My mom is a poet writer, and my brother is an artist. He's a comic drawer. So I am the only physician in the family. But I always knew that I liked surgery. I was kind of, I don't know, with some kind of clear path to do what I did.
No, that's really good. And even what even makes it more interesting is that you did not only remain a surgeon, but you also have a business mind. So how did you find that transition? What motivated you to make the switch from, okay, I'm working in hospitals to be to the point where you were like, oh, I've got an idea, let me start a company. How did you find that transition? How did you get there?
Yeah, I think that I mean, I always been kind of focused on how you can bring value, how you can do things better. I have like a inner motivation of changing things for the good. So that's why when we face the problem, when I was also a surgeon, I was practicing, and actually I was the chief of the ambulatory surgical center of one of the busiest hospitals in Santiago. And the biggest problem that we have is that we couldn't send home patients because they have pain. Kind of, we couldn't send patients the same day because they have pain, so we have to keep them on the hospital and treat the pain. So that's when we started figuring out how we can do these things better, how we can reduce pain in surgery in order for sending patients home the same day. And so doing research, I learned that incisional pain, the cuts that you make on the abdominal wall, are the actually that produce most of the pain after the surgery. It's not what you do inside, it's how you access inside. So we start figuring out ways of doing the surgery with less cuts. And that's what this is a funny story, because when I was a kid, we have these sea turtles with my brother.
Yes.
And we have the kind of like fish tank where you keep it. So there were some small magnets that you put a magnet inside of the fish tank and one magnet outside of the fish tank, and you clean the walls without changing the water, you see.
Yes.
So figured out ways how we can access the abdominal wall. We realized that using magnets and using this concept as a base, it was a very elegant way of solving the problem of how you can do the surgery with less cuts, kind of like less damaging the wall. And in this case, it's the patient wall instead of the fish tank wall. And being able to create effective movement inside of the cavity without so many holes. So we start kind of like working with my dad in the garage, kind of like doing some prototypes. And then I realized that it was a very powerful kind of technology, a very powerful way for surgeons to interact with the patients. So that's why I decided to stop my clinical practice, sell my apartment, sell my car, and decided to move to the Bay Area in order to start Levita in Silicon Valley, because I knew that was the place in order to make this idea a reality. So that's how everything started. And well, we developed the first magnetic system. We demonstrated that this worked in patient, and now we're taking to a next stage that we're combining with machine, with robots, in order for having like a much compelling solution. But always the north is how we bring value, how we do things better, how we help surgeons to have better outcomes, because that's our focus, the patient and the surgeon.
Nice, nice. That's really a mouthful what you say. Then it's quite a lot of things, but it's I'm really impressed. Not only did you remember your memories as a kid that led to you being being able to create this medical device that's going to be helping a lot of patients, but also you took the jump from going from in Santiago to San Francisco basically, and you sold everything. It was a gamble. So, and that's a bit of like a leap of faith. And from what I understood, you started Levita in 2011, correct? And you've been working on creating this product, but I'm quite excited about like your recent FDA approval for the what you guys call the Mars system. Like could
Yes.
you briefly just touch on that? I don't want to say a lot because I've got so many questions. It's really exciting technology, and I'm a huge enthusiast of medical devices. Maybe it's also because I got that biomedical engineering background, but so I've got a list of questions that I have for you. But yeah, how would you say it's in a simple way? How would you describe the Mars system?
Yeah, well, the Mars system is a totally innovative approach to surgery. Is a platform that empower the surgeon to do more. So from one side, we have the magnetic component that enable the surgeon to deliver a less invasive procedure, because you reduce the number of incisions, and that's the core clinical benefit in terms of reduction of pain, reduction of complications related to the incision, like kind of bleeding, infection. Also, you have less pain, you use less morphine after the procedure, so you don't have the side effects of the opioids in terms of like short-term side effects or long-term side effects as addiction. And also, I mean, if you don't use morphine, you don't have nausea, you can start walking earlier, so you can go your home earlier. So treating pain is a very important aspect of the recovery for the patient. That's one of the big aspects. The other aspect is that as we give 2 extra arms to the surgeon, actually you don't need so much assistant. You don't need someone else helping him to do the procedure, because you help yourself. You see,
Yes.
we give more independence to the surgeon. So that what means is that for you as a surgeon is a better way for doing it, the surgery. You are more relaxed. You are more how to say, easy, that you enter in the flow state.
True.
That is the perfect stage for the surgeon to perform in their best.
Nice.
Because you have the perfect assistant. It's like you really help yourself. So you see what you need to see. You see it clearly. With the magnets, you can move kind of like unobstructed. The camera is stable. So it's the best position for you to do the procedure, to kind of like excel as a surgeon. And also, we bring value to the healthcare system, to the providers, because we reduce personnel, so we reduce the people involved in doing the surgery. And that's the beauty, that we reduce the people in the OR, but also we reduce, as the patient has less pain, you use less opioids, you need less care after the procedure. So we reduce the time and the resources after the procedure, so the patient can go home earlier. And also we differentiated the centers, and this is a very important aspect, because for the perception of the patient about the treatment is based that they feel that they're having the best technology available. And there's a lot of surveys that demonstrate that when the patient feels that they got the best treatment, they perceive kind of like taking care, and then they perceive like expression of the treatment is better. So we also see that if you explain the patient that we're doing this with a best technology available, the experience of the patient is much better. And also that's very good for the centers, because that's our focus, how the patient at the end is a happy patient, you see, in a broader
Nice.
aspect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
No, I'll let you finish. It's really exciting, because what you're touching on goes way beyond that. It means that basically people are getting back to work faster after surgery. People need less painkillers, because what people don't understand sometimes, just stepping back, is that sometimes when we take medication, sometimes it has some side effects that come with that. So the less time you
yes.
spend on the medication, the better it is for you. So instead of spending 4 weeks recovering, if it's now 2 weeks, it's good. And also the less scarring, because, well, I don't know about a lot of people, but like in my generation, we've grown up with Instagram, and everyone wants to look good, look good when you go to the beach, when you're in summer holiday. And I think traditionally scars have made people less confident about themselves, and this is also
Yes.
something you're also bypassing. So it's not just the economical side, it's also the psychological aspects that it's also improving in the patients. So yeah, it's amazing. I'm
Yeah, no, that's a fascinating aspect. I mean, the scars is a huge thing. People minimize it, but actually, I have patients that have returned to me and said, I had a gallbladder surgery. I have like a keloid, kind of like I did like a big scar here in the middle of my kind of like in my belly, and I'm really embarrassed. And actually, I'm really embarrassed to go to the pool. I'm really embarrassed in my intimate situation, because it's kind of like, I don't know, very very exposed.
yeah.
And people really suffer. I mean, there are people who really suffer with that. So that's why, I mean, that's why I'm so optimistic. I'm so happy what we're doing in Levita, because we bring value in so many levels. We bring value at the patient, that is the most important. We bring patient value to my fellow surgeons, because we develop this thinking, okay, how I can develop a platform that I can do more. And also we bring value to the hospitals and also to society, because the other aspect is that we make the surgery more efficient, because if you start adding all these benefits at the end, you as a surgeon can do more surgeries per day.
Well,
And it will be a big lack of surgeons in the future. Everybody's predicting that, because as the population is getting older, they need more surgical care. and you have a lack of surgeons here in the US. You have a lack of surgeons that are even worse outside of the US. So it's a problem that is coming. So that's why I really like what we're doing, because we are preparing this technology for what is coming in surgery next. Is how we make the surgeon better for what is kind of like coming tomorrow. And so that's why I'm very optimistic about our approach, and I'm happy the value that we're bringing in so multiple levels.
Nice, nice. And just to, sort of like step back behind a little bit, I know today there was a basically the first patient that got
Yes,
the Mars system used on them, and this was in Cleveland in the US.
yes,
Like,
yes.
I mean, what does this mean for you? Because obviously, I'm sure this has taken years to get to this point. Or do you still have more ideas that are still coming and you're not resting at this point in time?
Yeah, well, that's a wonderful question, Rodney. And we see everything that we do as a stepping stone
Yeah.
process. That's why we started with the kind of laparoscopic magnetic instrument. Now we evolved it to kind of mix it with machines and robotics. Next stage is we have a very solid plan for improving, also for adding artificial intelligence, machine learning, and we want to keep. I mean, because that's the goal of the company, is how we help surgeons to do more, have an impact in society, how we empower surgeons. So we're also very blessed to have an amazing team that is really efficient, very with a highly level of engagement of what we're doing. So that's a way that we do things that most of the people think that they are impossible. You see,
Yes.
I mean, I have countless people who told me that it's impossible that a surgeon coming from Chile to the US being able to develop a new technology for the FDA. After we did it, it's like it's impossible that you can develop a robot for, I don't know, for a new space. You have like big fish doing this. Okay, we get it. Then it was impossible with FDA. Well, we work with FDA. We get it through. So we have a story of like doing things that people think are impossible. That's really kind of like give us energy to to demonstrate that they are wrong.
True, and I take a lot of motivation from that because it means a lot. People don't understand how difficult it is to move from one country to another, and I've done something quite similar myself. And when I
Mm.
see how what you've done and what you've achieved, I'm sure it's gonna encourage a lot of people to say, like if you got an idea, if you're working on something, you can actually chase it and it will work. But just a quick question, since we're talking about the location, what exactly about Silicon Valley makes it attractive? Because I've read the news articles they write. They say it's too expensive out there, but people are still going there. So, like, what exactly makes it attractive in that San Francisco?
Yeah, it's a very good also question, and I will graphic that with story that when in Chile, I was saying, hey, I want to stop my clinical practice and move to the US in order to develop this crazy idea. Most of the people was telling me, but what's wrong with you? I mean, I don't know, took 14 years to be like a surgeon. You can make a lot of money in the private sector in Santiago. Well, we're kind of like, what's wrong with you? And when I was saying in Silicon Valley that, yeah, I stopped my clinical practice and moved here, people was like, great, man, you did it well. So it's kind of like a very different mentality
Yes.
and approach, um, that I would say is really different. So I would say like mostly the big thing of Silicon Valley is that kind of mentality that you can change the world, and you have kind of, I don't know, peer support or emotional support from everybody, and that in other places you get like more like resistance. So I would say that what make Silicon Valley unique, that people really believe that I can make the change, and if you don't believe it, you will not do it. You see, so you really, this is so hard and so unlikely that happen, that you really have to have a profound belief in your idea, in your team, in yourself, that you have to be in a place that kind of foster that, because it's so difficult that you need to have all your support that you need.
No, that's really good, and I'm happy to hear that. I probably should start looking for ways to move to San Francisco as well, to be part of the party. But I mean, now like going back to the mass system, because like this is now sort of like the engineer inside of me, sort of like speaking. So basically, in simple words, you make an incision at the belly button usually, and then you that's how you access the abdomen, right, and our organs inside. Like,
Yes.
I know there's a lot of blood flowing in this section of the body. So, is it one of the challenges you face, just to prevent blood loss? Because I know, like, I think it's easy if you're doing an operation, maybe on the limbs, because you can the doctors can just tie, essentially like an elastic or a bandage to reduce the blood loss. But when you're working on the abdomen, like, how do you make sure that you don't lose so much blood with this new system?
Yeah, that's a very good kind of like question, and that's why I would say that in surgery, well, visualization is fundamental.
Yes.
That you really have a good view in order to avoid the critical structures, as you mentioned. Because if you puncture the aorta or the cava, it's a disaster. So visualization, I would say, is one of the key factors. And the other one is the capability of really doing movement that are precise, and that you have the capability of really move the organs with security, and giving you the angle of dissection that you need in order for cut what you need, and not having kind of like inadvertent kind of like damage to another organs. That's when you have like the problems.
Yes.
So we took those concepts into consideration, and that's why the Mars system is designed to improve visualization, is designed to give the surgeon the capability of doing precise movements. It's kind of giving everything that the surgeon needs in order to have a safe and also fast
Procedure.
procedure, because
Nice.
that's the goal.
Nice. And I mean, like, this might sound stupid, but I thought of it when I was, reading about this. So going back to the idea again, which means that you guys have so basically make the incision, you go inside, you can then hold, let's say, a particular organ, and then you can sort of like release the sort of like the piece holding the organ, and sort of like then bring the magnet from outside. So you got the piece holding the organ from the inside of the body, and then you got the magnet from the top, but there's the skin in between, and then you can technically just move the organ out
Yep.
of the way using the magnet, right? But
Yes.
not to sound dumb or anything, but like, also the tools the surgeon used, they're made of metal. So how do you make sure that those tools aren't, being attracted by the magnets as well when you're doing your job?
Yeah, no, actually, that's a very good question, and actually, that was one of the questions from FDA.
Yeah.
And I mean, we did a lot of research
Yes.
before we released this system. I mean, that's why I started the company in Chile, as you said, in 2011.
Yes.
But I decided to put full time on this in 2013, kind of the end of 2013,
Yes.
because we took a couple of years. I mean, actually, we did almost 4 years just pure research in terms of addressing those issues, that the system works but does not interfere with other instruments. There's no interference with anything else in the OR, because for us safety is the first kind of feature that we need to have, and then is the benefit. So we spend a lot of time doing research and really thinking those things that are not minimal.
Yes.
So yeah, it's designed to not interfere, and we have proof that this is the case.
Nice, nice. It's fantastic. I'm sure the engineering behind it is mouth watering. Like, I'm really excited just thinking about how these magnets are so laser focused and everything. And but one of the things that I realized that you guys focus on, bariatric surgery. Like, before we,
Yeah.
before we even use the big words, like, how would you explain the word bariatric? Like, what does it mean to a normal person
Yeah.
who's not a surgeon?
Yeah, well, actually, the word
Yeah.
bariatrics is coming from varios.
Yes.
That is a Latin word for weight.
Nice.
For so that's the kind of root of
Yeah.
bariatrics is kind of like related to varios, to weight.
Mm.
So bariatrics is all the surgical procedures in order to treat morbid obesity.
Yes.
And it's a big problem because I mean many times people think that obesity is just a problem of lifestyle, kind of like that you are lazy and you don't do exercise. And actually, modern medicine has demonstrated that this is hormonal imbalance.
Yes.
That it's a disease. I mean, it's not something that you choose to. You see, so with that in mind, you need to have surgery in order to correct this imbalance that some people has, and that's why take it to accumulate so much weight.
Yes.
So that's why so far surgery has been proven to be the most effective way in a permanent kind of basis to treat morbid obesity.
Yes.
And as if you see, the only kind of like in the US, less than 0.5% of the people who has a kind of like a clinical indication to have a surgery that, I mean, that is proven
Yeah.
that is better for their quality of life and their kind of like survival in terms of years. It's but only those people who has like a clear indication, less than 0.5%
Well.
has the surgery. So if you see, okay, why the majority of the people, kind of like 99% of the people don't do it, there's a lot of barriers in terms of like they're scared of the procedure,
Yes.
they're scared of pain, they're scared of having marks of the procedure. I mean, many people have the surgery during their vacations because they don't want to tell anybody that they got like a bariatric procedure.
Yes.
So there's a lot of
Mm.
barriers, and that's why also we choose bariatrics as our initial kind of like focus, because for one side, also bariatrics are high risk patients, so not having use of opioids, that they can walk earlier. Also, we bring more clinical benefit to those patients. But also, we see that if we offer a less invasive procedure with less incision, less pain, we can make these people to take the decision, make the leap to have the procedure that actually is good for them. So that's why we decided to focus in bariatrics first. And so far, we are seeing a lot of a good reception. Patients love the concept about having less scar, less pain. They see that it's a less invasive procedure. So far, we're very optimistic that is the right path for us. Nevertheless, we're starting in bariatrics, and then we want to do all the abdominal procedures because our benefit is not just for bariatrics. I mean, we bring benefit in gallbladder surgery, that is the most frequent surgery in the US and in the world. Anything that is abdominal,
Yes.
we will bring benefit.
Nice, nice, and that's amazing. I mean, the level of impact you guys are gonna have is quite, you know, big because, particularly in the Western world, the average person I think is now basically overweight. It's all of some sort, and it's linked to many things. Hormonal imbalances are wide, right? So this can be caused by many
Yes.
things. It could be the thyroid gland. From what I remember from my university lectures. It's the thyroid gland. It's many things, but this is also caused by like a lot of the food we eat. The microplastics in the food, and everything. So, but for someone to qualify for this sort of like surgery or using this, whether it's the because there's four types of magnetic surgery, right? There's the magnetic sleeve, there's the magnetic bypass, there's the magnetic switch, and there's the magnetic band. And for the audience listening, don't worry too much. I'm going to be putting some pictures and links below so that they can see. Um, like how like is there like how do you know that you need this surgery? Do you guys have a particular criteria for people listening right now if they're thinking, oh, maybe this system or is something I need, maybe this surgery is what I need? Like, what's the criteria? Or do you say
Yeah,
just go
yeah. I
to the
mean,
gym? Or I don't know, how do you balance the two?
no. Actually, I would say that someone's interested
Yeah.
to really consult a bariatric surgeon because they can evaluate it. They are specific criteria. They're very clear defined. when you need bariatric surgery, and also what kind of bariatric surgery. Yeah, it's based on if you have any other comorbidities. I mean, there's a evaluation. So if someone is interested, I recommend going to a bariatric surgeon and have like a consultation and figure it out what is the best path for that specific and unique patient.
Nice, nice. And because I'm really interested in terms of like how you guys plan to grow this. Right now it's in Cleveland. Like, what's the plan over the next 5 years or so to make it worldwide reach? Because I know you got an FDI clearance. Are you planning to get approval in Europe? Are you planning to get approval in, like conservative markets like Japan and Korea? Because I know, like for instance, Korea is a huge hub of like surgery, not just like plastic surgery, all kinds of surgeries.
Mm.
So, like, are you guys looking at those markets right now, or you already have systems in those markets?
Well, we see our technology of our world use. I mean, that's the beauty also about medical technologies, that what we develop here in the US can be used in China, it can be used in Japan, as you said, in Korea, Africa, Latin America. Is something that we share in common. We're all people who, I mean, from the inside, we're all the same. So our technology it can be used everywhere.
Yes.
We're very excited. We have a lot of interest from surgeons, I would say worldwide. I mean, I have received emails from surgeons from Philippines, from, I don't know, Bolivia, from everywhere that are interested in our technology. Nevertheless, we're a very disciplined organization. We're a very disciplined startup. So we go step by step, because that's the only way that you can really reach those areas if we have a consistent growth. So for us, we always have the, how to say, philosophy of doing the hardest things first, because if you prove that, you can go to the other places that are kind of like more easier. That's has been the philosophy. That way we go, and that just, we're very unusual in that aspect as a company. That's why we get first FDA clearance, because everybody knows that is the highest regulatory kind of a barrier, is the most strict in the world. So that's why we get it. Also, that's why we started with Cleveland Clinic. That is the most recognized clinical center in the US and in the world, because it's the hardest to enter. Many people told me also, don't do it there, do it in a smaller hospital, that if things go wrong, nobody knows. It's like, no, 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 no. We go directly to the hardest, and we trust our technology, so we don't have any issues. Let's do it there. And well, luckily, and we have the support from wonderful clinicians who everything is going perfect. So that's a little bit of like a strategy, but of course we wanna reach Europe, we wanna reach Asia. I mean, this is a product that we wanna reach, that all the patients around the world can get it. And soon we wanna release some news. We are going to start with a center outside of the US, because I mean, I think it's important that this technology reach everybody, not just the people who has the resources to get it. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Nice, nice. I'm really happy to hear that, because I think it's a really fantastic product, and I'm happy to hear that you guys are working on, making it global. And at the moment, I like the ideology that you start with the hardest things first, and it's how I've also tried to live my life, to say, okay, you do the hardest things first, so by the time you get tired, you just only got easy things to do. So then it's an easier barrier to overcome to reach your goals. And yeah, that's really amazing. So we're back for the second part of this conversation with Dr. Alberto Rodriguez-Navarro. And it's been quite exciting, the work they've been doing, the FDA clearance they've gotten, and everything. But now we're also going to be moving into talking about things as well that not necessarily are patient focused, but things that sort of like are focused on the surgeons and hospitals and so forth. So then to kick this conversation off again, like I understand that you part of robotic surgery and now combined with this magnetic attributes to it, it's important as a surgeon to have steady hands because um I don't know, I was watching, this may sound funny, but I watched I think everyone has seen the Marvel movie with the Avengers, and there's this hero called Doctor Strange, and he was a top surgeon but he had a car accident, so now his hands were shaking all the time. Like, how does this technology help surgeons have like steady hands in a way so that they don't cut the wrong organ or they don't cut the wrong blood vessel?
Yeah, well, I mean, the interesting thing is in surgery, you need some stuff to be steady, and you need another stuff to be kind of really movable and have space to move. So that's why we design our system that give you stability for the things that you don't need that they move during the surgery. For example, the camera. Now, it's like with any cameras, and if you're doing anything with the camera, the last thing that you want is that someone shake it because this is like you get dizzy. So we
Yes.
provide this stability to the camera, but also you need to move the camera. Sometimes it has to be like a smooth movement. So we provide that. With the magnet, we provide the capability of doing movements that you are not constrained by your entry point, so you can really create movement, and it's very precise because you are seeing the move of the magnet. So we give also kind of freedom and precision, and also the system is designed in an ergonomic way. So you as a surgeon, we keep the movement of the two hands, the left hand of the surgeon, that you can really move in a very ergonomic way, very freely. So it's designed with taking this consideration of, okay, what parts of the procedure we need stability, and what parts of the procedure we need kind of like versatility and movement for the surgeon.
Well, and I guess this is why surgery is really hard. And it takes, how long does it take to train? 11 years, 12 years to be a surgeon? And
Yeah.
I guess it's part of the process of getting to that point because not only do you have to know all the names of the medical tools that you use, you also have to pay attention on the patient. You have to remember the body anatomy, that sort of the anatomy of the human body. So me and my friends, we always used to say something about surgeons. We always call surgeons like the plumbers of the human body
Yes.
because before this, I was working on sort of orthopedic implants when I was working at J&J, the bone cement for hip and knee replacement implants. And there's, when you'd go and see this happening, there's like they use hammers, exos, so you have to have a good physical fitness. And like it makes me interested to think about the ergonomics aspect of this, to say, okay, you're working in surgery, some surgeries last for like hours. I don't know what the average surgery lasts, but I think some of them can last 12 hours or very long. And what things have you put in place to make sure that it's comfortable to use the mask system? There's like, does it come with certain tools that allow different surgeons of different sizes to use it, or it's only for big strong surgeons? Like, what have you guys put into perspective to make it happen and comfortable?
Yeah, well, that's a very good point, and we took a lot of time in the design of the system, and that's why also we are very fortunate that well, for one side we have the support of recognized key opinion leaders from the lead academic institutions from the US, clearly people who are very forward thinking, but also we took into consideration my own experience. I have done more than 3,000 laparoscopic procedures in my clinical life, So we try to combine something that works in kind of like academics environments, but also in more like community hospital environments that are quite different in terms of resources, in terms of like, I don't know, OR space, managing of the patient. So we took all those things in consideration, and also, of course, ergonomics of the surgeon is an important. But one of the parts that people really forget is the assistant, because everybody's working about the surgeon to be comfortable, but to be a surgical assistant to help someone to do the surgery, I can say that it's almost like a torture, because first you have to adapt to the surgeon, that the surgeon is comfortable, but nobody cares about the assistant. So if you are kind of, I don't know, hanging your arms for like 2 hours, it's like, okay, it's part of the work. So, I mean, the assistant, if you see the ergonomics of the assistant, is horrible, because you have to be kind of in steady positions for longer period of time, in awkward positions. The camera, the laparoscopic camera, I mean, it's not heavy, but it's not light neither. So it's really bad to be a surgical kind of assistant. So we're also very happy that we solved that problem, because we kind of like don't let people do that hard work. So instead of like doing kind of like this torture in the procedure, do something more valuable, because there's so much need in the healthcare today. There's so shortage of people in the healthcare system, that instead of like having someone doing like a basic work that also is not done perfectly, well, take it and use that resource in something that brings more value in the system. So yeah, we took in consideration a lot of aspects. Also, we went the system also is designed that the surgeon is comfortable, that can perform well, and we took those concepts into design kind of the system.
Well, no, that's really impressive, and I guess there's always unsung heroes in every situation. And in this particular case, you mentioned the being a surgical assistant. I think most junior doctors or junior surgeons have to go through that route as part of your training. So, um,
Yes.
that's really funny. It's like, yeah, but now that's been put into place, and to do that, and but also, like, as a surgeon, do you think that, when you have those long surgeries, the level of concentration stays the same throughout the process, or do you find that by doing, the minimally invasive approach, where you access the inside of the body with minimum invasiveness, it's easier for you? Does it make the surgery faster or slower? Or like, how does it affect the actual surgery from your point of view, since you've done 3,000s of this? So I'm sure you rarely see anything new nowadays.
Yeah, no, that's a fascinating concept, and I mean, the interesting thing is that if you see surgery is very close to high level kind of like competition, or kind of like surgeons are kind of like athletes or artists, that you see where that they perform the best when they enter in this kind of like flow mode, that is kind of like a kind of like automatic kind of like doing things. And in surgery, in order for enhance kind of like that mode, you have to have good visualization, perfect retraction, and that's
Nice.
why our goal with our system is giving perfect assistance to the surgeon in order to enter to the flow mode. That kind of like you see that everything is kind of like going fast and nice. For example, when you see a highly trained surgeon helping another surgeon, you see that the surgery goes very, very fast, and kind of like the assistant kind of like go kind of one step beyond of what you're doing. And
Nice.
everything is kind of like fast, and the surgery is kind of like a how to say, like a performance. It's kind of like it's very kind of like from aesthetic view, very nice. But if you see the same good surgeon being helped by a first year medical student that I don't know, don't even like surgery, you see that it's a disaster. Kind of like they don't see well. It really, you see that the frustration start to climb up. You have the responsibility of the patient, so you get stressed, and the surgery kind of like don't flow. You see, and actually,
Makes
if you see
sense.
those cases, it's when you can have complications too. You see that there's like I mean, this is my personal view, that there's a
Yeah.
link of this kind of surgery kind of like look nice and goes easily with
Yeah.
better outcomes. So that's why we're trying to replicate with our technology. Is like, okay, how we
Nice.
help the surgeon to have the best assistant, and do it in a cost effective way, because having two highly trained surgeons doing just one procedure, yes, you can do it, but makes no sense from a use of resources. So how with technology we can provide the same assistant to the surgeon and make it kind of like excel.
Well, and just out of curiosity, and this might sound also like a stupid question, but when you mention visualization in surgery for minimally invasive operations, I understand from the like for the small incision you make, do you also put the camera through there as well as the tools at the same time, and then obviously now you've got the mask system also helping you there to see, so it's essentially you have you can you can actually see quite a lot from inside without having to separate a lot of things, and or without having to make a big incision. So that's amazing. And but does the machine control the light, the camera that goes inside, so so the surgeon can focus on the tools themselves, or the surgeon also controls the visual, part of the surgery?
Yes, and right now the current FDA clear system is totally controlled by the surgeon.
Okay.
Actually, we are developing more kind of like AI control ways of helping even more this kind of concept that I'm saying, that you give the surgeon what he or she needs before kind of like what is needed, kind of like going a little bit one step kind of like ahead of what is needed. We're working on that, and that's why we're also very optimistic about our future, because we have a strong pipeline of new developments, how we leverage our system in order to keep bringing value.
Nice. And in regards to that, I suppose you offer surgeons training, right, for this device.
Yeah.
And how long does it take to train a surgeon onto this? For for doctors listening right now, they're thinking, oh, maybe it's too complicated for me and stuff. But like, how do you reassure them that this is actually not complicated? It's something that doesn't take as long. How long do your trainings take? What kind of support do you offer them?
Yeah, no, of course you need training, and we have a program of training. I can say that is that our system is designed to be very simple. We took a lot of time in order to design something that was very easy to use, and also very easy to be trained. And not just for the surgeon, we also took time in order to make the system easy for the OR team. Actually, one of the biggest feedback, and the one that put me more happy, that was unexpected, is that the nurses at the Cleveland Clinic really like our system, because it was very easy to use. They were very scared because their experience with other robotic platforms is that was very complex and cumbersome. And I mean, this was a little bit of like unexpected feedback. So we took a
Nice.
lot of time in order to design it, that is easy to use. Of course, you need some training in order to, I would say, mostly understand the kind of movements that you can do with the magnetic system, because that is also very interesting, that you realize that we as a surgeon, we are trained with kind of like laparoscopic instruments, and you are kind of, how to say, like constrained by the movements that you can do. And when you
Yes.
give a surgeon kind of like this capability of doing movements that is impossible with other instruments, it takes a little bit of while to kind of like, I don't know, re-understand the kind of like that you can do, I don't know, a dragging movement that you cannot do with a conventional laparoscopic instrument. So it's
Well,
interesting that you need a little bit of like training. I would say that it's a short learning curve. We have seen it. So yeah, I mean, it's a simple to learn, but you need also a training.
nice, nice. That's good, and I'm sure that reassures a lot of the surgeons listening out there and stuff, knowing that this is also it's a tool that can also deliver high sort of like if efficacy in patients. They come back, they feel happy. They're more likely to tell their friends when their friends see that people feel comfortable, because I think a lot of people before they go for surgery they don't really, there isn't really a lot of information out there. And I say this because I spent some time writing one of the jobs that I was doing at J&J was writing what they call information for use pamphlets for sort of like patients, so that they can read before they go into surgery, so they kind of know what the doctor is going to do on them. But we write it in such a way that we try to simplify the words. And like a lot of people, before they went into this surgery, one person told me that there wasn't even videos on YouTube for them to see what's going to be done to them. The closest thing they saw on YouTube about a hip replacement surgery was like it was one that was being done to like a sheep or a chicken, sort of like the early development stages. So it's, that then makes it quite scary. But now when you have this sort of like streamline or stream flow of patients that are we've gone through this, and they come back okay, and they like sort of like a testimony, they give
Mhm.
testimony to what they've gone, and that gives people a lot of confidence, knowing that you're not like a a guinea pig. No one wants to be a guinea pig in any experiment. So now, having talked about that, now I just want to move to like the hospital part, because it's part of like your triple impact that you guys aim for. And
Yep.
the hospitals, particularly like here in the UK, from like now, they're swamped. People are waiting long queues to see doctors. Junior doctors are going on strikes, and so forth. Like, how does, I know obviously you mentioned that instead of having two surgeons working on one patient, this device allows two surgeons to work on two patients at the same time.
Yes.
And but what are the other benefits to the hospital does this device offer?
Yeah, I mean that's a big focus of us, and that's why kind of like the waiting list, just for the people to understand, is people waiting for a surgery, and that what means that the offer of surgeries is less than the patients that you have, and that's why you have waiting list people waiting for surgery. And actually, this was a big problem also in my hospital, because I work in one of the busiest hospitals in Santiago, and we have like thousands of patients waiting for surgery. And the problem that when you are waiting for a surgery, the most likely, I mean, you have likelihood to get a complication. I mean, for example, if you have a stone in the gallbladder, if I take it as an elective way, it's a very simple, straightforward procedure that I can send you home after, I don't know, 6 hours after the surgery. But if that stone get impacted, then you have infection, and then it's a acute cholecystitis. It's a much more complex, more risk. Usually, I cannot send you home the same day. So the issues of waiting, having people for waiting for surgeries has like a, what is it, a humanitarian problem that you have someone
Yes.
suffering, but also it brings more cost to the system in the long
Yes.
term, because you are doing surgeries on complicated, kind of like more complicated case. So having a waiting list is a social problem, but also is economical problem. In that aspect, the beauty of what we're doing, and this is an analogy that many people like, doing surgery is I would say is similar to a kind of like a high level restaurant. If you go to a kind of like a fancy restaurant, they limit you the time on the table. I mean, you have 2 hours, and then you have to, they kick you out. Why they're doing that? Because they figured it out that they don't take so much time cooking. They take more, the people kind of like when they are using the tables is when you cannot put more customers. So in surgery, when you start looking the centers who are efficient in terms of surgery, you start seeing that the bottleneck is not the OR itself. It's the postoperatory care unit. It's kind of like the recovery unit. So when you want to improve your efficiency, actually you have to improve in DOR, but also you have to have a figured out of having like a faster throughput of patients, kind of like sending patients out easy. And that's why our system is kind of aligned to that concept, because as we reduce pain, as I mentioned before, less use of opioids, we have also data that demonstrate that patients spend less time in the recovery unit. So at the end, if you kind of add that we improve the surgery itself, making kind of the surgery more efficient, faster, and also we improve kind of like the exit of the patients, kind of like the bottlenecks, we can have a double impact. So that's why we want to demonstrate that we have a huge impact on waiting time for patients, because we really improve the offer for surgeries to
Well,
the patients.
well, that's really impressive, and I think that's really good because it not only, particularly in countries where the healthcare system is dependent on the government and on a tech system, like in the UK with the NHS system, the by taking that burden off patients, it's literally you're saving billions essentially in that system, because it means there's more beds available for other treatments. Doctors aren't being overworked, they're not burning out, because I know sometimes doctors work really long hours, and I had this joke with my friends that they develop a sort of like a coffee addiction, like a
Yeah.
caffeine addiction, because that's what keeps them going. And sometimes that could also be avoided by fixing one part at a time, as you said, removing the pressure on the like post surgery ward. It will also flow into other areas. So now that's really good. And like I just had a question out of curiosity, particularly for hospitals in countries that are sort of like developing countries, where maybe they don't have the best infrastructure in place. Like, is there a possibility that this system could run off a battery? Like what they're doing now with Teslas and lithium. Everyone thinks of battery power now. Like, is there a possibility that this could be battery powered in the future?
Yeah, totally the case. And actually, that's a commitment as we have as a company, that we want this technology reach all the patients around the world. I mean, we don't want that because someone has less kind of like income, not be able to access to the best technology available. So we have a commitment as a company to make this technology affordable for all the markets. Of course, I mean, we first we have to survive as a company. We have to be alive in order to do that.
Makes sense.
But we have a commitment as a company, and I would say that in that aspect we are very aligned with our investors, that we want to make this affordable. We want to bring more value than the cost that it will have. So we have a commitment to make it work in places that they receive the latest technology at the end. You see, so we have a commitment in terms of that we're focusing on bringing this for all the patients.
Nice, nice. And then sort of like then moving away from the hospital questions and patient questions and surgeon questions. I want to go more into like the business side of it.
Mhm.
And like firstly, um the partnerships that you guys have formed, like how have you found those? Have those been helpful, like the partnerships you've been forming with different hospitals, with different surgeons in the field, in terms of transitioning this technology to the market? How have you found that?
Yeah, I mean, we have been, I would say, blessed for the level of support that we have from recognized surgeons who are like the top in the world. I mean, if you see our company for the size of the company and the level of support of key opinion leaders, is totally kind of, I don't know how hypertrophic. You see, kind of like the level of support that we have for the size
Yes.
that we have. And you see other companies kind of in the similar stage that don't even have, I don't know, 1% of the support from key opinion leaders that we have. I mean, it's extremely support. I mean, mostly because, I mean, we have a lot of connections in the surgical field, but I would say that mostly it's because they see the value, the clinical value, and the value for the surgical practice that we are bringing. So we are also a very unique company, that we have not done too much noise in areas that are kind of like side of surgery. We have focused, in putting our technology more, how to say you, in the surgical field, and that's why we have so much support from other surgeons. And we're very kind of like happy, and we feel very proud of the level of support. I mean, we have published in the best surgical journals. That also, people told me it's impossible that the best surgical journal will accept a study from the industry and blah blah blah. So well, we have it over there. So we have a support from the recognized kind of like thought leaders in surgery that is unprecedented for the size of our company.
Yes, and that's really interesting, really, because essentially, it's like a streamline, and just to make people understand medical devices, as much as you're a company working on something, you also need what they call the sort of like post-market surveillance, which basically
Yeah,
means you also want to know the details of how it's performing in the markets. And sometimes to do that, you need people who are directly in contact with the patients to collect that data, and I'm sure the company also collects the
yeah.
data. And but then talking about size, like how big are you guys? Because it's one thing that I was trying to figure on my when I was doing research for Lavita, and I was just like, how big is this company? How many people do you employ there? And what do you guys do your manufacturing? Do you do all the manufacturing in California, or is also in other states or in other countries? How do you guys do that?
Yeah, we are a very efficient team. I would say that also we have a level of engagement of our team that is unprecedented. I mean, everybody in our team is kind of like really put the heart on what we're doing, and that's why we can do stuff that people believe that are impossible. We're a small team. We're just 30, around like to be more 30 people. We have our main office is in Mountain View in Silicon Valley, and we have an office in Chile that is mostly focused on clinical research and also AI and software development.
Nice. That's really good. That's really good. And like I've been wanting to ask you this question for quite some time now,
Mhm.
but how do you raise $26 million in a round of funding? And if I'm not wrong, that was not your first sort of like seed round,
No,
or was it your
yeah.
first?
No. Actually, I mean, that has been also very fascinating. Also, how the company also has evolved, because initially we start the company thinking about just a kind of like a product company, and after we developed the first magnetic kind of product, we figured out that this has even much more potential if we combine it with other technologies such as robotics or machines or AI. So we also kind of the company itself kind of mutates, I would say, to another entity that is moving from being like a product company to a platform company. Also, we're very fortunate to have investors who believe in what we're doing, who trust the team, and they just give us a support, and also knowing uh, that's also I'm very, how to say, like fortunate to be in this space that the beauty about medical technology is that you can bring a lot of social value, but also you can bring a lot of like value to shareholders. You have a nice intersection that you can
Yes.
create value for everybody. You see, so I mean, our investors understand that. I mean, they want to have a social impact, but also they want to have a nice return on their investment. And we are lucky that we can align those objectives. I mean, that's why I'm saying that I like to think Levita that we bring more value than what we charge for that. But also from a business standpoint, it's very solid. I mean, we as you bring value to the healthcare, there's economic return, as I mentioned. There's economic return, for example, of doing a surgery in a patient that does not have to wait. I mean, there's a social benefit, but also there's an economic benefit in terms of doing it. So we're very fortunate that we can bring both, and that's why also we are seeing that we have a very business kind of like a platform
Yes.
our business is very solid, and that's the way that's why I'm anticipating that we will be able to reach to kind of like lower lower kind of a lower economical environments, because we are very solid in the business side.
Well, that's good. And if there's one tip that you could give to people thinking of getting funding for a company, for a business idea they have, what would be the one thing you would tell those, founders, as words of advice?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that first, really believe in what you're doing, because you have to really transmit passion. Back up that with a solid plan how to do it, how you're gonna do it. It's not just about passion; it's like how are you going to do it. Um, I would say that you be prepared to knock 300 doors, because this is a persistent game. Really, you have to keep going, and you will find the people who engage with your objectives with the company. Pick the investor who really align with your values, because I would say that also is very, very important. And keep going, learning, read a lot, learn from other people, be with your ears always open to learn, and take this
Yes.
as a journey. You see, this is a process that you learn every day. Be also humble. The when you reach something, don't get stuck on that, because the next step is always more difficult and you're not prepared. So so take this as a journey, and I would say that those are the key aspect
Thank
for
thank you.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah, thank you very much. I wrote that down, and talking about before, like I go into more questions about the entrepreneurship, because it's quite a brave thing that you have to do, like what you did, settling everything in Santiago, moving to a new country, starting up a company, and the company is actually being successful. So that's really something that's really good, and I've noted down everything you said. I've taken notes for myself, and I'm sure the people listening to this will also take note of that. And I just wanted to ask as well, because one of the things we discussed before or earlier was, you have this interest now of turning surgeons so that they can have a business mindset. And it's
Yeah.
it's 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 a question that I've often gotten myself, because I studied biomedical engineering, never did anything with media, but here I am doing a podcast. So it's like it's a paradigm shift, right? Because you're taking someone from a STEM background and saying, wait a second, life is bigger than that. You can also think of starting a business. You can think of starting something else that's in a different field. Like, how are you doing that, and what exactly went through your own mind for you to make that paradigm shift?
Well, as I mentioned in the beginning, is this passion of doing things better. At the end, I realized, I mean, I was in the academia before. Then I realized that having a company is the kind of like fastest vehicle that you can have in order to do kind of like applied research, and also developing products that will help other surgeons and patients. So I figured it out that companies at the end are kind of like vehicles, are entities that enables you to bring people with the passion, with the energy, and that you can put all that and really have something that is a deliverable, is something that really is a product that can be used. So I figured it out that, and also I think that we need more clinicians involved in entrepreneurship, developing new products. Because I mean, I have seen many companies that sometimes the leadership is a little bit far from the clinic. They don't have like the experience. I mean, I always also tell the teams that you need a physician in your core team, in the initial team, because there's something special when you treat a patient. There's a responsibility. There's this physician patient relationship that is something special, that if you don't have kind of live that kind of, like, when you haven't experienced that, it's difficult to understand. So I think that we need more clinicians. I've seen other kind of robotic companies that they are not drive by the same kind of experience. So I think that we need more clinicians to be involved in entrepreneurship, in develop new tools, because that I think is where kind of good products can reach the patients.
Nice. And that's interesting you say that, because it just made me think to myself, you see it all over the internet these days. You hear that sort of like a salary is like a sedative, that keeps you calm. It stops you from really reaching out far without taking too much risk. And I can understand, for most surgeons who have spent many years studying at school, they're relatively comfortable or above average in their respective countries. So, but another way as well, would you think that it would be possible for those surgeons who are sort of like comfortable, who are risk adverse, they want to take the risk, to still get involved in companies by just forming collaborations, because
Yes.
getting involved in entrepreneurship is not just okay, you have to be the founder all the time. You can find a company that's already going and then say, hey guys, I've got this expertise, I can come to you and be your sort of like scientific advisor, and help the company actually grow to meet the needs of what they're actually seeing in the industry. Would you recommend that as well, as part of the
Yeah.
transition?
Yes, 100%. When I'm saying that we need more clinicians involved in entrepreneurship, I mean, the ones that will be kind of like founders and CEOs like myself, but the other ones, it will be really engaged in kind of like in the teams developing new products. Yeah, no, for sure. The thing is that we need more input, because otherwise you can develop things that is kind of more like a solution searching for a problem. You see, there's so much need in healthcare that actually the clinician has this sensitivity in order to know what are the real problems, and that's why we have to incentivize people not to be so comfortable and just keep doing what they're doing, challenge themselves, be involved. If you figure out a problem, well, figure out a way of solution, you see, because that's the way that we evolve.
Nice, nice. That's really good. And it makes sense. It makes sense because sometimes you need to hear it from someone else sometimes to start thinking of it. And I'm hoping that this message gets to those surgeons on TikTok, because what I'm going to be doing after this, I'm going to take our interview, or still put the full interview on YouTube, but I'm also going to take certain extracts and put them on TikTok and Instagram so that they also reach a wider audience, because I understand nowadays not everyone has the attention span to sit down for an hour and watch something. So I also have to cater for that audience to say, okay, you know what, I also got something for you that's 60 seconds long. And
Okay,
it's
great.
quite good because now on TikTok, I think today they increased the length of video. So now you can post like a 10-minute video or something. But that's good to hear that. And I'm hoping that it can really resonate with a lot of people. But looking at the time, and I just got one more question, which also I think everyone is thinking about this nowadays, which is like AI. And I know you mentioned it briefly, and I didn't want you to go without mentioning more about this. But how do you guys plan on implementing AI in this? Like, I mean, on a range of scale. I know other people be thinking, okay, that's it, we're done. Machines are gonna be operating on us. We won't need any humans anymore. Like how, like what's your take in terms of integrating AI into these robots? Can we really trust AI that much with human life, or what do you think?
Yeah, well, that's also another fascinating topic.
Yeah.
I would say that more than incorporating AI to robots, we're incorporating AI to surgeons. I mean, that's the how I see it. I see these are technologies that augment the capabilities of the surgeon. I don't foresee kind of like self-driving robots in the short term. I mean, we don't even have cars. I mean, surgery is a little bit more complex than that. What I think is that AI and that what data gathering can give you is taking better decisions during the surgery. Also, I think that there will be a big play in terms of coordinating ORs, because if you see the ORs who are really kind of like very, very efficient, it's an issue of how you coordinate all the people involved. That actually is a big group of people that are involved in the surgery. I mean, the surgeon is the probably the most critical and the how do you say the most required kind of like player. But in order for to be efficient, this is not just the surgeon issue. It's like a team of people working. So I think AI can help the surgeon during the procedure, also to organizing the team. And there's a lot of kind of like areas that I think AI can play a nice role. But I mean, how we see it, at least from Levita, is we always think, okay, how we improve outcomes, how we help the surgeons to do better. And if AI help us to do that, welcome. If it's AI for just AI because it's cool, it's not for us, you see. So, but I mean, I'm thinking that at least what we are seeing is this will have a huge impact in surgical practice, in medical practice. And well, that's why we have a very strong pipeline of AI products. we are on that. We are exploring. We are testing, and we have a very good position. That's why we see our system as having kind of like real estate in the OR. So we want to leverage our position in order, but helping the surgeons. See, that's our goal.
Nice, nice. That's really good. And I guess that calms down the nerves of many people who are nervous about AI to say that we're not just gonna let it run loose, but we actually gonna see what we can take. We're gonna extrapolate the benefits we can get from AI and then use that to our advantage to whether build up more, systems that we know, okay, maybe if we cut this insertion at this length, maybe it increases the recovery period by a week. So maybe if we maintain this one, we can make people recover faster. And I think with that big amount of data, that's where AI comes into place for you guys. And yeah, it's really really amazing. And like I'm just really grateful to have had you on the podcast today, Alberto, and I am looking forward to seeing the mass system like in Europe and outside of
Yeah.
the US, because I'm always kind of jealous of the Americans. It seems like they always have everything first. So this is quite exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing it here. So thank you very much for coming
Yeah,
today.
actually, yeah, we have interest from UK surgeons too. It's that we will go to Europe very
Nice.
soon. So stay tuned. And well, thank you very much for the talk. I really enjoyed talking with you. And yeah, hopefully that this motivates someone to start their own company or be involved in new solutions and have an impact.
Definitely, I'm sure a lot of people would have been motivated by the stuff you're working on, the things you've taken, or the leaps you've taken in your life, and the advice you gave. And yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, thanks to you.